Hello, Forever family, and welcome to January's Product Power Hour. I'm Holly Stout, Vice President of Global Product Development, and I am joined today by our esteemed Dr. Peter Pressman from our Scientific Advisory Board. We're going to talk today about a triangle of health or wellness, and Dr. Pressman's going to help share some insights into the science, features, and the ingredients that we're going to talk about today. But first, I'm going to ask you, if you are listening and you have any questions that come to mind, please go ahead and pop those into the chat, and I'm going to be answering those questions with Dr. Pressman live here at the end of this show. So with that, I'm going to introduce Dr. Peter Pressman, and I'm going to ask him to introduce himself and give a little bit of background, because I know our Scientific Advisory Board is very important to you as FBOs, but I also know that when we first introduced them, that video, you might not have seen it for a while, and you might not know the power and science that Dr. Pressman brings to this team. So with that, Dr. Pressman, hello, and thank you for joining.
It's a pleasure to be here. A real joy to work with you guys. And we've been doing this for some years now. So hopefully when I say nice things, I have some credibility. You guys are an absolute class act.
I love that. Well, I know Dr. Wally Hayes from a previous life. And as we were looking at bringing on some scientists, I thought, gosh, there's nobody greater than our world-renowned toxicologist, Dr. Wally Hayes. And he came to us with this powerful team of doctors and scientists. And that's when I had the pleasure and the privilege to meet you. We had the opportunity of standing on stage in Stockholm, if you remember, and addressing our FBOs. You got to meet really the heart and soul of our business. But Dr. Pressman, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Give me a little bit of insight into your background and how you came to know Forever.
Well, let me start with the other two folks that you mentioned here. I've worked really for the last 15 years with Wally Hayes and with Roger Clemens, and these are two guys um, who had a prior relationship with you folks. And as I got more and more involved in projects with them and the various initiatives that we were doing in the realm of food science, nutrition, and health, they folded me more and more into the work that we were doing to provide a clinical perspective. Now we are delighted to be able to provide what we think is almost a kind of a synergistic level of guidance for the folks we work with. We bring the nutritional, we bring the toxicologic, so we emphasize the safety. So we have efficacy, we have safety, and then we have the clinical, which I get to play with because as a consumer of the powerful science that those two guys generate, I get to say, well, that stuff looks like it might be extraordinarily useful in helping us manage the following conditions medically. Or maybe even simply, what can we do to optimize health? And as we begin to focus in on what health really means in various domains, whether it's cardiovascular health or gut health or performance health, or whether it's about avoiding aging, whether it's about avoiding senescence, that's something that I think opens up tremendous opportunities and something I've seen working with these guys progressively and working with Forever, because your entire mandate is to support first and foremost everyone's conception of health, of what makes them happy in life and what makes them feel comfortable and fit and capable of being resilient in the face of all the things that life throws at us. So that's how I got involved with those guys. And my background, in a nutshell, is pretty conventional in terms of internal medicine training, critical care training, and combat casualty care. For years, I was in academic medicine, managing a residency program at the University of Southern California Keck School of Medicine. I also achieved the rank of commander in the United States Navy Medical Corps and deployed to all kinds of places in the world that really instilled in me a tremendous motivation to give something back in the area of global medicine. And I guess that's where I am now. In my retirement, I've never been so busy, not only working with Wally and Roger, but also sitting on various expert committees for USDA and the FDA. As a matter of fact, I just got off an airplane earlier this morning, back from Washington, and I'll go back there again tomorrow in order to take care of business here at the University of Maine, where I also teach at the intersection of social and behavioral sciences and medicine. So with that, way more than you wanted to hear.
No, that's fantastic. That's exactly what our FBOs want to hear. I love what you said, a consumer of powerful science. You know, you'd mentioned your background. You were a general practitioner, but there's really nothing general about what you did, right? You had to be well versed in a wide range of subjects. But what you're doing today is becoming more specialized and specific. And you and I had a conversation earlier about some of the research that you're currently doing with anti-aging and botanicals. And here at Forever Living Products, as you know, we try to use as many feasible botanicals as possible in our dietary supplements to help our FBOs achieve that wellness and vitality that you talked about. So tell us a little bit, give us a little sneak peek behind that curtain. What are you seeing by way of some of those powerful botanicals and anti-aging?
Well, we're focusing on this area now, mostly because um, uh, a younger person offered me her seat on a bus the other day, and I got so upset by that, by the perception that I was obviously a mummy, that or at least a fragile mummy, that I've decided to devote my entire life now to longevity. At any rate, uh, partially true. The In answer to your question, what we're excited about now is looking at what in some ways we've all already been aware of for thousands of years. So everybody appreciates that there is a history of pharmacy, of pharmacology, that there is a rich, storied history of medicine, not only in the Far East, but in the Middle East and in Central Asia, in India. Um, and and we've had at the theoretical level, even at the level of federal agencies, we've had attention in this area of that has been called either traditional or Eastern medicine. This is really suddenly coming back into the fore with enormous enthusiasm as the knowledge explosion continues in science. Um, what I'm really talking about is an entire spectrum of herbal and botanical medicines that, as I said, have come to represent what we've said, oh, Eastern medicine, okay. Everybody can make extracts of various plant sources, right? And that's where we've been. And it has not, honestly, um, rewarded us with any meaningful efforts. We have a sea of extracts of varying kinds, of varying qualities, without standardization in terms of source, in terms of plant, in terms of speciation, in terms of agricultural conditions, in terms of extraction and processing, um, in terms of distribution, in terms of establishing safety and efficacy in all realms. We haven't had that. Now, with high throughput technologies, with beautiful instrumentation, with computational platforms that are extraordinary, like AI and machine learning, which we can talk about if we have time. But with all these tools, we now appreciate that what we've talked about as, with kind of a making faces, herbal and naturopathic, homeopathic medicine, um, we've we've now suddenly realized scientifically that there is a scientific and quantitative and randomized control trial basis for beginning to actually definitively look at what these extracts do, how they can be manufactured in the safest and most effective way, um, and how we can combine them to actually promote health in, again, an evidence-based fashion. The uh, the so-called real world evidence, the historic evidence, the anthropological evidence, has to be balanced in today's world where we properly uh, pray at the basis of evidence-based medicine, where we pray at the altar of safety in regulatory affairs. We've got to have data. Um, in God we trust, all others must have data. So one of the great ways that Forever has advanced its product development is on the basis of cutting edge nutritional insights and appreciation that there is enormous potential as we're more thoughtful and as we learn more and more about how we can formulate the stuff that drives our dietary patterns. And I think what we're excited about, again, to come back to your question, and I apologize for being so verbose here, but we are incredibly excited about the rigorous work that we're doing with antioxidants that are derived from all kinds of herbs and botanicals. Um, we have an enormous library now, even in the past year and a half, of research that we have published. We are going through systematically various kinds of antioxidants to demonstrate that, in fact, there is not only a theoretical basis for the claims that we're excited about, but that we can manipulate dose to achieve a very, very distinctive response pattern. And that goes to state-of-the-art pharmacokinetic science. So when we talk about, for example, um, any product, pick a product. We're going to talk about an amino acid, L-arginine, that forms the basis for one of the newer products that we love. And we're going to talk about how that goes to synthesize an incredibly important compound in the body called nitric acid. We're going to talk about how that increases blood flow by relaxing the lining, the exquisitely complicated and responsive lining of your blood vessels. There's an interaction there that we're now appreciating and operationalizing in a supplement.
I love that.
We're
That
looking at things. Okay.